Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining us on the program. I'm Amarachi Ubani in Lagos. Coming up on Network Africa. Over 100 people die, 50 others injured as petrol-laden tanker explodes in Taura local government area of Jigawa State, northeast Nigeria. Congolese town shuts down as protesting youths take to the streets in support of the regular Sudanese army. Plus, impeachment trial day one for Kenyan Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua. Let's begin Network Africa. There's been some restiveness in the Democratic Republic of Congo as citizens gathered on the streets of Butembo calling for stronger military action against rebel groups occupying eastern regions of the country. The march was organized by local youth groups and activists, with protesters also demonstrating in support of the Congolese army, that's the FARDC. Eastern DRC has long been plagued by violence from various rebel groups, including the M23, which has been accused of receiving support from neighboring Rwanda, an allegation Rwanda denies. Despite peace agreements, the region remains volatile, with civilians frequently caught in the crossfire. According to the United Nations, over 5 million people have been displaced in the DRC due to ongoing conflicts, with citizens often bearing the brunt of violence and instability. And now to Kenya. Day one of the impeachment trial for Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua. A trial is the parliament's first step to removing Gachagua from office following charges of corruption, inciting ethnic divisions, and undermining government, all of which he denies. Last week, an overwhelming majority voted in the National Assembly to approve his impeachment, and that set the stage for the two-day trial in the Senate that decides whether or not to oust him. Gachagua's trial is being conducted before the full House of the Senate after it abandoned a process to set up an 11-member committee to investigate the charges. The Senate had abandoned a process to set up an 11-member committee to investigate the charges. At least two-thirds of the 67 Senate members must approve the motion for Gachagua to be removed from office. Should that happen and his impeachment stand, he would be barred from ever holding public office. He's expected to challenge the impeachment in the courts if it passes. And back here in Nigeria, at least 104 people have died, while over 50 others hospitalized after a petrol tanker exploded at Majia town, Taura local government area in Jigawa State, northeast Nigeria. The incident occurred around 12:30 a.m. when a tanker driver traveling from Kano to Nguru in Yobe State lost control near Khadija University, Majia. According to the state's police public relations officer, DSP Lawan Adam, the disaster was triggered by residents who had rushed to collect petrol after the tanker overturned. The command disclosed that the authorities have commenced a mass burial for the victims and expressed condolences to their families and the entire people of Jigawa State. Joining us now on the program to talk more about the accident is Jigawa State Sector Commander for the FRSC, Aishat Saadu. She joins us from the state capital, Dutse. Thank you for joining us on the program, Ms. Saadu. And this has got to be one of the most heartbreaking stories out of Nigeria today, one that is still developing as we speak. We're seeing the death toll going higher. What are the current casualty figures?
Thank you for having me. Good afternoon. Can I hear your question again, please?
What are the current casualty figures as we speak? Earlier in the day, there were just 90 people, and now we're talking about over 100 people who have died in that disaster.
As at this afternoon, when there was mass burial, the number of dead rise to 104. Because we are doing hospital follow-up. And so some of the people that were rescued and taken to hospital, about 7 of them died, aside the 97 that was there in the morning.
Wow, that's That's just sad, isn't it? Some sources are saying the driver of the petrol tanker fell asleep on the steering, which is why he lost control of the truck. And I'm sure that there's some investigation that's already being done to ascertain the real reason why the truck tipped over. Are you privy to such information?
No. The information I have, because my boys were on ground before we joined them, was that the driver was trying to avoid oncoming vehicle that was trying to overtake so that there won't be head-on collision. So he lost control and fell. The tanker now fell off, but he was able to move the head of the trailer, the tanker.
Where's the driver now?
The driver, as of the time, will be with the police.
He's with the police. Okay. I'm sure they have lots of questions for him. And we can only assume that people who risk their lives to scoop fuel really do not know how dangerous this is, the risk, associated with this. What does it take to cause a fire or an explosion in a situation like this?
As we all know, that fire can start when there is fuel, which we already have, when there is air and heat. And it's unfortunate that despite the fact that our men on ground, the police and other sister agencies on ground try to stop them from going near the tanker to scoop fuel, but they were not really listening. Or they left where the security agencies are on the road, and the fuel split into their fans because there is a kind of canal that the channel, the fuel was channeling through. And so it went into their farm. So they went into the farm and started scooping there. And somehow the melter materials they were using to scoop the fuel, a kind of rub each other and ignite. And that was what caused the fire.
That is just horrifying. Just horrifying.
Okay.
You talked about people in the hospital. You said 7 people died in hospital today. What about the others? What is their condition?
They have various form of injuries. As of the time, myself and my men, because we rescued them through the night till early hours, we rescued about 110 to the hospital. And so for now, after a kind of follow-up to the hospital, we are told that 7 died, but we are not in the same hospital. We rescued some to Hadejia, most of them to Hadejia, some to Ringim, and some to yeah.
Wow. It must have been a long night for you and your fellow colleagues, as well as the other sister agencies, trying to get these people into hospital. And I just imagine that even those who died, who were caught up in the fire, were burnt beyond recognition. Am I right?
Definitely.
So,
I want to...
Please go on. Please go on. You were about to say something.
Yes, I was trying to say that actually the crash that occurred was minor. The crash was minor because the driver and the motorboy was able to leave that place alive. It's unfortunate that it was well after 2 hours that crash occurred before this fire started. So I would say it's a secondary event to the crash. Is not the crash is not fatal at all. It was not fatal.
Yes, and situations like this always make us think. There has to be some caution that some warning that you have for people, especially when tankers tip over, where there's a spill of fuel. What would you like people to remember so that they stay safe in situations like that?
Just like we have been saying, and we will continue to say, we will continue to enlighten them and a kind of tell them that it's very, very risky. We should not look at how much do we want to gain from maybe scooping and selling this fuel. It's dangerous, it's risky, it's not worth it that they should not go near any tanker that fuel and the fuel is splitting. It's not worth it at all.
Indeed, not worth your life, not worth whatever monies you were hoping to gain from that. Ms. Aishat Sadu, thank you so much for speaking with us on Network Africa.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
And our thoughts and prayers go out, of course, to those who have lost their lives and the families who are left behind to mourn them. Today is World Food Day, a day commemorating the founding of the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization in 1945. It also celebrates efforts at curbing world hunger. Sadly, that will not be true for people in southern Africa, where the WFP says are facing the worst food crisis in decades. It also says things could get much worse as it's being constrained, by funding shortfalls. Taking a world view, the UN Director General, the Secretary General Antonio Guterres, believes that fighting hunger is a task for everyone and zero hunger is possible with political will. In the midst of historic drought conditions, a record 5 countries, Lesotho, Malawi, Namibia, Zambia and Zimbabwe, have declared a state of disaster and are calling for international humanitarian support. According to WFP spokesperson Thomson Phiri, about 21 million children are already malnourished. The agency is planning to bring food distributions and in some cases cash assistance to more than 6.5 million people in the 7 hardest hit countries to cover the lean season until the next harvest in March 2025. But WFP says it has only received about a fifth of the $369 million it has sought.
Crops have failed, livestock has perished, and children are lucky to receive 1 meal per day. The situation is dire, and the need for action has never been clearer.
In his address on the World Food Day, the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres is calling for a massive shift in orientation to address world food systems.
The good news is that a zero hunger world is possible. The 2021 Food Systems Summit set us on a course to tackle the inefficiencies and inequities built into our food systems. Food systems need a massive transformation with the contributions of businesses, academics, research institutions, and civil society to become more efficient, inclusive, resilient, and sustainable. Governments must work with all partners to incentivize the production and sale of healthy, nutritious foods at affordable prices.
The UN chief and humanitarian food distribution gurus admit that other problems such as conflict and climate change must also be addressed to achieve zero world hunger. Stabilizing economies and transforming education are crucial for equipping Africa's growing workforce. That's according to the latest edition of Africa Pulse, the World Bank's twice-yearly regional economic update released this month. The report highlights the need for stronger foundational skills and market-relevant expertise to drive inclusive growth across the continent. Our South Africa correspondent Innocent Amosa reports.
The World Bank says despite signs of a fragile economic recovery, sub-Saharan Africa remains stuck in low gear with a large youth population at risk of being left behind. With the high unemployment rate in Africa, what is the role of the World Bank? Andrew Dabalin is the World Bank chief economist for the Africa region.
It's the role of the economy and policymakers to create the conditions and the environment for jobs to be created by businesses. So I don't think you should blame yourself or you should blame the university.
Andrew says urgent education reform is key in unlocking faster and more inclusive growth in Africa.
What we need to do is to really improve the capabilities of the young people coming into the labor market. We need to improve their education, we need to improve their health, we need to improve their skills and their ability to be able to use these new technologies.
Vice Principal at the University of Pretoria, Professor Loretta Furia, says early childhood development is necessary.
That's where you lay the foundation for creative thinking, for innovative thinking. But it's your basic literacy, it's your basic numeracy that already, where the child is prepared for it.
Eric Asante from Ghana shares the same sentiments.
As Africa, we are thinking of how to promote inclusive education where every learner can learn at his or her own pace. Then we need to make good use of technology.
But which skills should be prioritized in Africa? Omole Mojobe is the student at the University of Pretoria. The report, which is in its 30th edition and on the theme of transforming education for inclusive growth, says economic activity in the region is projected to grow by 3% in 2024 from a low of 2.4% in 2023, driven primarily by growth in private consumption and, of course, investment. Inflation is forecasted to ease from 7.1% in 2023 to 4.8% in 2024. From Pretoria, South Africa, Innocent Samos, Channels Television News.
You're watching Network Africa. Still ahead on the program. Uncommon occurrence. Carcass of juvenile humpback whale washes ashore on Cape Town. Stay with us. Welcome back. We're back here in Nigeria, where the Lagos State government is calling on parents and guardians to seize the opportunity to immunize their children during the non-polio supplemental immunization activity kicking off on Saturday, October 19. The Supervising Permanent Secretary of the Lagos State Primary Healthcare Board, Dr. Abimbola Bowale, who was speaking during engagements with the media to promote the immunization exercise, says routine immunization is highly important to reducing the death of preventable diseases.
It's a crucial media orientation dialogue on non-polio supplemental immunization activities and yellow fever campaign organized by the Lagos State Ministry of Information and Strategy in collaboration with the State Ministry of Health, Lagos State Primary Healthcare Board, and other stakeholders in the health sector to ensure acceptance of the vaccine. The role of media professionals in disseminating accurate and impactful information is highly needed at this time to safeguard every child during the immunization exercise.
The role you play in disseminating accurate and impactful information is pivotal in our collective effort to ensure that every child receives life-saving immunizations with no one left behind.
Community engagement is very important in achieving success for the NPSIA Yellow Fever campaign.
Partnering with schools and religious institutions for information dissemination, incorporating message into signboards and schools assembly activities.
Measles, yellow fever, human papilloma virus vaccine will all be available for children under a certain age range from October 19th.
We have a number of vaccines that we want to give to our children, and this includes one, yellow fever from 9 months to 44 years. So adults are also eligible for yellow fever vaccine. We also have measles from 9 months to 18 months, and so that is basically for our children. And then, of course, we have HPV vaccine that covers from 9 years to 14 years. So for the other routine immunization, they also continue to go on, like oral polio and the rest.
Hesitancy around vaccination is a growing challenge, one that worries the government. In reducing the outbreaks of diseases affecting children, the state government is encouraging parents to take advantage of the statewide immunization exercise.
Over the past 2 to 3 years, we've been having several outbreaks of vaccine-preventable diseases, measles, yellow fever, diphtheria, even of recent cholera, and that tells us that we are having immunity gaps in the community. And the easiest way to close that gap is to have a statewide immunization activity.
We see a decline in vaccine trust acceptance owing to a lot of rumors being populated. And so we need a channel where people, as much as they hear the rumors, they also come back to those rumors through trusted platforms. And that is why this meeting has been called, because we realize that the media is a voice that reaches the voiceless and a platform to reach many.
The Lagos State government says health workers will be carrying out the non-polio supplemental immunization activities across all local government areas, health facilities, religious centers, and marketplaces to ensure all age group is vaccinated in the next 2 weeks and beyond.
It created quite a spectacle when the carcass of a juvenile humpback washed ashore along South Africa's Cape Town coastline. Officials say they do not know why the whale died, but according to the city of Cape Town Coastal Management, whales washing ashore is quite an uncommon occurrence. Local media also reported there are no visible injuries on the whale. The carcass was found early on Tuesday morning and was removed in the afternoon to be disposed of at a landfill site. Humpback whales are frequently spotted just off the Cape Coast between June and December as they migrate there seasonally to calve and rear their young. That is one mighty whale. The Egal Heritage Day celebrations in South Africa brought together communities to celebrate the cultural heritage of the Egal people living far away from home. Those behind the gathering say it aims to foster cultural pride and community cohesion among the Egal people by showcasing their contributions to South Africa's broader economic and cultural landscape. Again, our correspondent Innocent Samosa reports.
The atmosphere is electric, filled with music, dance and colorful displays of traditional attire. The organizer says that this year's celebration highlights the importance of cultural exchange and community spirit. The two-day event featured workshops that educate attendees about Igbo customs and history. Throughout the day, participants have enjoyed various activities, including traditional dance performances. The highlight of the day was the masquerade cultural dance. Emmanuel Okoli is the President General Nzuko Ndi Igbo South Africa.
Today, we are celebrating our New Yam Festival. We call it Iriji in Igbo land, and it's kind of a showcasing our culture. We are also celebrating Igbo heritage, New Yam Festival. And yesterday we had something we call Iba Izomunne, which is it was a talk show which we tried to introspect and speak to our people.
Mazi Nyejuma emphasized the role of the Igbo community in promoting inclusivity and understanding among different cultures.
How to move our people forward, irrespective of the language, irrespective of your culture or whatever. How to move Nigerians forward, how to behave better in diaspora.
I had the opportunity to speak to some young people and I asked them what they love about their culture.
I like the fact that they have like good food. They can cook very nice food. Our cocoa comes, like chocolate, all those chocolate stuff comes from our country, which makes us popular. And yeah, they're rich in the nutrients and all that stuff. My favorite juice is egusi and pandoya.
Jollof rice, egusi, okra, and plantain.
The event had attracted not only the Igbo community, but also locals all eager to partake in this celebration. From Pretoria, South Africa, Innocent Simos, Channels Television News.
Looking forward to the food more than the dancing. But thanks for watching. I'm Amarachi Ubani.